Okay, so here are my thoughts on Hocus Pocus 2. First off, wow. I mean, wow. Now, when I heard that there was going to be a sequel, I have to admit, I was kind of like, wait, how? And then, of course, it was revealed during a special event for Entertainment Tonight that a sequel was in the works. So naturally, Kathy Najimy, uh, Bette Midler, and Sarah Jessica Parker were going to return, as well as the man himself, Doug Jones, who some of you may know plays Billy Butcherson, and also showed off his ass in The Shape of Water. Of course, it does make sense that they couldn't exactly include Omri Katz, Vanessa Shaw, and Thora Birch. After all, the three of them are involved in their own projects and such, but if you didn't have the Sanderson sisters and Billy, I think the whole thing would have sunk like the Titanic. Now, as to the new characters, by the way, there are spoilers, so go watch this and then come back and listen. So, anyway, on to the new characters. We have 3 new characters, which is actually very important in a lot of witch legend and folklore. Some of you may be familiar with the Mother, the Maiden, and the Crone, which are part of the Wiccan tradition. I have a very, very close friend who practices Wiccan tradition, so I thought that was neat that they did kind of go with that. I mean, you have 3 Sanderson sisters, and in this movie you have 3 friends. So we have Becca, Izzy, and Cassie. Now, at the beginning of this, it's inferred that Cassie and Izzy and Becca used to hang out a lot, but then they kind of drifted apart, and yeah, let's just say awkward feelings all around. And on the day of Halloween, which just so happens to be Becca's birthday, her 16th birthday, well, they decide that they're going to have, their good old ritual, which was apparently going into the woods and pretty much doing a ritual of sorts. And of course, it seems like the awkward relationship between Cassie, Becca, and Izzy, in a way, it kind of reminds me a little bit of, well, they're in high school, and I can remember being kind of awkward in high school, you know? And it also doesn't help that Cassie's boyfriend, Max, he's not exactly, how do I put this? The brightest crayon in the box, as the saying goes. What's the other saying? One sandwich short of a picnic. Yeah. No, that means, they're crazy. He's crazy. Never mind. I really like the fact that they didn't exactly decide to use the old cast. I mean, that would have been neat, but letting this new cast of characters, these new 3 folk, come in and, give their own spin on it, I think that's really neat. Also, the witch in the beginning, I'm calling her the Mother Witch because I'm guessing that's who they're referring to in the 1993 film. And of course, it does add a bit of a discrepancy because in the original movie, sorry, mosquitoes. In the original movie, Winifred's spellbook was given to her by Satan himself. But in this one, we actually find out that it was given to Winifred by this, well, maybe not Mother Witch. I'm going to say Master Witch or Mistress Witch. Master Witch sounds right. And I think that was pretty neat. And plus, not only that, in the first movie, other than Binks, my favorite enchanted character object in that movie is the spellbook. Creepy as it is. But they go into a little bit more about the lore of the book. And yes, they do give the book a gender, male, but that didn't bother me as much. And I thought it was interesting that the Master Witch, said that they could not use this one specific spell in order to become powerful. So young Winifred swears not to do it. Also because Book doesn't want to perform that spell. And you kind of find out why a little later on. Now, as circumstances would have it, I'm not going to go too much into it, but somehow Izzy and Becca come into getting a black flame candle, like an actual black flame candle, and they resurrect the Sanderson sisters. All three of them. And let me just say, oh my goodness, they looked spectacular. I mean, Bette Midler, I don't know what she's doing, but boy, did she look good. And I think she played Winifred with even more uh, malicious zeal than she did in the first film. And of course, you have, Mary, Kathy Najimy, who's been in, I think, quite a lot of Disney properties, now that I think about it. But I grew up watching her in Hocus Pocus and, of course, in Sister Act. So she did a good job in that one, definitely. And she looked great, but oh boy, Sarah Jessica Parker, she looked exquisite. And she was still doing pretty well. A lot of people have probably mentioned this, but Sarah was kind of part of my lesbian awakening when I was younger. I thought she was pretty, and then it wasn't until I got older and I became gay, I realized, oh, Sarah might have contributed to that. And let me just say, if you're gonna bring the Sanderson sisters back, you gotta bring the Sanderson sisters back. You gotta bring the whole crew. So they did a really great job in this movie, and it was so wonderful to see them doing this again. And yes, there is another song. It's not what you expect, but it's actually very nice. And it could, just like how the spell at the dance with the parents tied into the story, same idea with this. That's good. Of course, the main storyline of this movie is that the Sanderson sisters are accidentally brought back. They decide that in order to really take their revenge on Salem and whatnot, that they're gonna have to do the Magica Maxima spell, even though the book doesn't want to do it. Like I said, I thought it was great that they kind of gave him a character, because I get the idea that maybe he's not all evil. I mean, in the first film, we kind of get the idea that maybe he is, but there's a moment where someone says, Book chooses people, and he does. Spoiler alert: he chooses Becca as his new owner, and that's pretty neat, I think. And I can't talk about this without mentioning, of course, the GOT, Mr. Doug Jones. He can still wear that zombie makeup. Oh man, fantastic. Not only that, I kind of like the fact that he could talk, because that means he had a little bit more help in this one, instead of, just being a lumbering guy, except for, wench, trollop. That, I love that line so much. And yeah, it was pretty cool. And man, in this one, we actually find out he and Winifred didn't exactly have a relationship. They shared one kiss, according to Winifred, and somehow it gets misconstrued that the two of them were boyfriend and girlfriend. But as we all know, rumor can build, something like that becomes part of a legend. But yeah, great performance from Doug Jones, and also the guy who played Gilbert, who I can't think of his actor name right now. He was great, and they tied him in with the fact that in 1993 he saw the Sanderson sisters flying across the sky, and somehow, without anybody really noticing, he followed them to the graveyard for the final confrontation. He watched them go kaboom, and then he ran back to the Sanderson house. He found the spell book, he kept the book safe, and somehow he made a black flame candle, which, as we all know, is made from the fat of a hanged man. And all I have to say is, Gilbert, why? Why did you decide to do this? But, I don't hold it against it. Does it open it up for a sequel? I would kind of say it does, but if they do, I'd like to see them go in a different direction. I'd like them to talk more about Book, talk how Book came to be, and I really, 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 really want to know, where did the Master Witch come from? I mean, we get the idea that she was. Do you notice? She said something about New World, same rules. So I get the feeling that maybe she came with. She may have come over on a ship, like a lot of people did back then. Not only that, I would like to know a little bit more about the girl's father. When I say the girls, I mean the Sanderson sisters, because they mention in the beginning that their father was an apothecary. And I thought, whoa, that's pretty neat. So, yeah, in conclusion, Hocus Pocus 2, I give it a 5 out of 5. Definitely will watch it again. Definitely going to add it to my repertoire of Halloween movies that we watch every year. And yeah, definitely go see it, guys. And yeah, that's it.